Good morning, guys. It's a cloudy Monday. The sun keeps going in and out. I am here and I am continuing in Luke chapter 9. Now, this portion of scripture, I'm going from 28, where it says, "And it came to pass about and 8 days after these things, he took Peter and John and James and went up into the mountains to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and the raiment was white and glittering. And behold, there talked with him two men, which were Moses and Elias, who appeared in glory, and spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep. And when they were awake, they saw his glory and the two men that stood with him." The first thing I want to point out is the fact that he went aside to a secluded place on the mountaintop to pray. He did not do it in the public. Many times we have leaders these days that, they want to pray, especially about, something that's kind of serious. And they decide that, what, we need to make sure that this thing is public and everybody see when we're praying and all of that. Here in this secluded place, he was able to accomplish much in prayer. So the point that they say that his very countenance and everything changed, and he got reinforcement from heaven. Moses and Elijah came and they were talking with him about what he was going to accomplish in Jerusalem, his upcoming death, and so on. And then the thing is that the disciples were there, and even though he took them with him on this mission, apparently they fell asleep. They were heavy with sleep and they fell asleep. Sometimes a lot of stuff can be happening around us, and if we're not careful, we can find ourselves asleep and not really benefiting from what was happening. They were not able to hear what was being said and all of that because they were asleep. And it says that when they awoke, then they saw his glory and they saw the two men. They missed some of it because they were asleep. And sometimes I think that happens. We may be in a service, we may be even in a place where the Spirit of God is moving, but we're unable because we're in a state of slumber. We're in some kind of sleep mode. You're not too alert, and so you miss on what God is saying to you, on the message that is being spoken at the time, simply because you're not fully awake, you're not fully alert. So I want to encourage us to, whenever we get into the presence of God, ensure that we are fully alert and we can receive everything that's being said, everything that's being spoken, everything that's being, given at that time. They missed some of it because they were asleep, and I don't want that to be us. Let's try our best to ensure that once we get into his presence, we ensure we get everything. Also, the fact that it's necessary to find that secluded place and pray. It's necessary to find that place where it's just you and God on a regular basis. One of the scriptures said that, one of the verses said that, as was customary, he went up in the mountaintops. And so this was not something that was a one-off thing. It was something that he did on a regular basis. So let's be reminded that we need to get into his presence. Let's be reminded that we need that mountaintop experience. We need to get into his presence and get that experience that will empower us to go forth. The thing is that he was going to go through one of the most difficult periods. He was going to have to suffer and die. We know that that was not easy. And here it was. What did he do? He prayed. He prayed and asked and got counsel from on high. Let's ensure that whenever we're going through those tough times, that we get counsel from on high. Yes, we know that there are people around us who are willing and able to give us sound advice, but the best place, the first place we ought to be going is up on high to our Father, to his presence, and get that counsel that we need to make it through. We know that he made it through. He went back and he prayed and he said, God, help. And he asked for help and he was able to get that strength to make it all the way to the cross. I know it could not have been easy. These are creatures that you create, and these people, that you're going to have to suffer and die at their hands. But he was able to get the help that he needed when he went into that secluded place with God. So that's what I want to encourage us to do as we go into this week. Get to that secluded place, whether it's a mountaintop, your closet, some little open area, some place where it's just you and God and His presence, and get advice, especially if you're going through a tough time. That's where the help will come from, all right? That's my encouragement to you today as we go into this week. Have a marvelous rest of the Monday, and remember, He loves you, and I do too. Be blessed.